It is Wednesday, June 17th, 2026, and this is The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. I'm Dan Miller, the guy who thinks a solid freight lane is won or lost in the fourth quarter.
I'm Jules Sterling.
This is Elena Rossi.
Buck Reynolds speaking, and I'm just here to make sure we don't outrun our headlights. We have a great show for you today.
Look, yesterday we were practically doing an autopsy on the Strategic Petroleum Reserve at a 43-year low and trying to wrap our heads around that massive SCOTUS ruling on broker liability. But today, we're shifting gears.
Right, because the 2026 State of Logistics report just hit the wire, and it basically confirms that the chaos we've been living in is the new normal. Dan, did you see the title of this thing?
Forged in Disruption. I mean, it sounds like a heavy metal album, right? But the numbers, here's the play. They're reporting U.S. business logistics costs dropped to $2.4 trillion. That's 7.8% of GDP, down from 8.7 last year.
Well, that sounds like progress, doesn't it?
You'd think so, Buck, but the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals says it's a fragile stabilization. It's a bend but don't break defense. Most of that drop came from ocean rates finally cooling off and the fact that we flushed 89,000 carriers out of the market since 2022. The excess capacity is finally toast.
Actually, you see, it's not just about the capacity. The report highlights 5 structural forces that are essentially rewriting the logistics Bible. We're looking at asymmetrical global growth and tightening financial conditions that make business as usual impossible. My thing is, companies are being forced to redesign their entire operating models just to survive a Tuesday without a supply chain coronary.
And for my retail clients, well, the barbell model in the parcel sector is really starting to bite. You've got ultra-low-cost regional delivery on one end and premium speed service on the other, but the middle is just sort of disappearing, you know? Air freight is up 3.4%, but it's lopsided. Asia to Europe is surging because nobody wants to gamble on the Red Sea, right?
The thing is, trucking only grew 1.7%. That's barely a pulse. I mean, after the recession we've been through, I guess we'll take it. But those 89,000 exits? That's blood on the pavement. Those are families, not just capacity units.
It's a roster purge, Buck. The market is cutting the players who couldn't handle the heat. And speaking of heat, we've got to look at what's happening on the West Coast right now. Gene Soroka over at the Port of Los Angeles says May imports hit 449,000 TEUs. That is a 26% jump. It's the June front-loading phenomenon. Shippers are sprinting for the goal line because they're terrified of the July 1st wall.
The fuel resets.
Exactly. Carriers are looking to recoup the massive fuel costs from the Middle East conflict, and with the National Retail Federation forecasting June imports to rise over 14%, everyone is trying to squeeze through the door at the same time.
Actually, it's also a regulatory panic. The Supreme Court just denied the hearing on the Section 301 tariffs case. Those List 3 and 4A tariffs are staying put. Shippers realize the legal miracle isn't coming, so they're pulling inventory forward to outrun the next round of costs that could hit in August.
It's making my retail accounts incredibly nervous. Well, they're bringing in merchandise early because they don't know if the port labor situation or fuel prices will blow up in the fall. It's like everyone is hoarding shelf space, which sort of drives the warehousing costs even higher, right?
Look, it's high-stakes chess, and the board is moving. Speaking of boards moving, Elena, I know you've been looking at a specific regulatory headache that's about to get a lot worse for people who think close enough is good enough for safety.
Now it's time for Iron Lady's Verdict, our Wednesday segment where we dissect the regulatory fallout for those who treat safety standards like a suggestion.
Oh boy, here we go.
On June 11th, The NHTSA published its final decision in the Federal Register, and, it's a death knell for Harbor Freight's 6-year battle. They officially denied the petition for inconsequential noncompliance regarding those Kenway trailer light kits, specifically the 12-volt magnetic and submersible LEDs.
Wait, those are the ones you see on every Weekend Warriors utility trailer, right?
Exactly, and quite a few commercial setups too, unfortunately. Harbor Freight argued that while the lights failed federal photometric standards, the gap was so small it didn't affect safety. NHTSA essentially said, actually, the law is the law. Laboratory testing showed units measuring as low as 466 candela. The federal minimum is 520. That's a 10% failure rate on brightness alone.
I mean, 10% less light is the difference between someone seeing your turn signal and someone ending up in your back seat, right?
It's worse than that. Separate audits found that side reflectors failed because of deterioration and inconsistent cleaning of the supplier's machinery in Jinhua. They couldn't even keep the factory clean enough to make a reflective surface. My verdict is this. If you have these units in your fleet, or if your owner-operators are using them, swap them out today. In this new negligent selection era, a non-compliant $40 light kit is a $10 million liability bomb just waiting for a trial lawyer to find it. Iron Lady's verdict? That's a wrap.
Look, it's about the fundamentals. You don't win games with sloppy equipment.
I mean, here's the deal, Elena. You're right, but try telling a driver who's already stressed about making rent that they need to spend more money on fancy lights. The new survey from Conversion Interactive says 58.1% of drivers are looking for a new job right now.
58%?
Up from 46% last year. The primary reasons are pay inconsistency and a total lack of respect. And you know my thing. I think all this automation is making it worse. It's like we're trying to turn the cab into a data entry center.
I hear you, Buck, but the data is where the money is now. Look at Werner Enterprises. They're reporting dedicated contract renewals are staying strong. Revenue per truck is up maybe 3%. Shippers are willing to pay a premium for dedicated seats because they know the turnover is a nightmare.
Well, it's that K-shaped economy again. You've got Werner and the big asset players doing okay, and then you've got R carriers in Laredo filing for Chapter 7 yesterday, affecting nearly 300 drivers. It's brutal.
Look, it's the great freight purge. If you aren't automating your efficiency, you're just waiting for the clock to run out.
Before we dive into the Agentic AI madness, we need to hear from the people making this broadcast possible.
Strategic logistics requires world-class engineering. This show is powered by the stack developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. Support the architect behind the code. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia for a free trial and access to our daily briefing PDF.
Look, back to the tech play. The report yesterday said we've moved past predictive AI. We're in the era of agentic AI now.
Okay, I've heard the term, but, well, explain it to me like I'm a VP of supply chain who just wants her reports on time.
It means the AI isn't just a chatbot anymore. It's a worker. Microsoft and SAP just rolled out their agent-to-agent integration, A2A. You've got Copilot talking directly to Joule inside the ERP. A manager can start a task in a Teams chat, say, rebalance inventory for the Northeast, and the AI agents autonomously execute the workflow inside SAP. No manual data entry.
Oh, perfect. So now the computers can make mistakes 10 times faster than a human could. I mean, the thing is, who's checking the work?
Victrola is checking the work, Buck. They're an early adopter. They reported cutting their P&L reporting time by 94%. It went from a 4-hour manual grind to 15 minutes. Bottom line, that's velocity.
Actually, I'm with Buck on the risk here. If the AI agent executes a procurement order based on a predicted surge that doesn't happen, who owns that inventory liability? We're moving from a system of record to a system of agency. And the legal framework for that is basically a blank sheet of paper right now.
But my clients love the idea. Grocery Outlet is already using AI to modernize their full store ordering. It's about intelligent orchestration, right? Taking the guesswork out of what's on the shelf, which actually leads us to the biggest story of the day. The energy market is finally showing a crack.
This is the game changer. Here's the play. Brent crude dropped to $78.66 today. That's over a 5% slide in 24 hours.
I'll believe it when I see it at the pump. Retail diesel is still $5.38.
Look, I know, the pump lag is real, but the catalyst is huge. The U.S. and Iran just signed a memorandum of understanding. It's a tentative peace framework to end the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
Wait, are the tankers actually moving?
The Iranian state media reported yesterday that the first ships have started transiting. There's over 100 oil-laden ships stuck in the Gulf here. That's floating storage that's about to hit the market like a tidal wave. We're looking at millions of barrels being discharged in the next few days.
Oh, that's such a relief for air freight surcharges, too. But, Elena, you mentioned the Strategic Petroleum Reserve earlier. Is that still a problem?
Actually, it's a massive problem. Even with prices dropping, the SPR is at a 43-year low, 340 million barrels. We've used nearly half of our national buffer to keep prices from hitting $200 a barrel during the war. My thing is, we have no margin for error left. If this peace deal falls through, or if there's a hurricane in the Gulf, we're running on fumes.
I mean, the thing is, we're addicted to the SPR as a Band-Aid. And it's not like the trucks are getting any cheaper. Volvo just released their unattended software updates. The truck basically fixes itself while the driver is asleep. They say it's reduced unplanned stops by 24%, which is fine, but have you seen the price tag on a new Class 8?
Look, fleet sales are down 12% because interest rates are still sitting in the bleachers. Most guys are extending their trade cycles to 6 or 7 years instead of 4.
And that's a maintenance nightmare. Well, my accounts are seeing their cost to serve go up even with the lower diesel because the older trucks are spending more time in the shop. It's a vicious cycle, right?
It is. But if you're a leader like Kimberly-Clark, you're spending $3 billion on productivity to offset it. Literally merging loads with Kenvue to double their efficiency. It's like a super team in the supply chain.
I mean, the thing is, for every super team, you've got 100 small fleets just trying to stay out of the meat grinder. And the news about Dolly Parton's new travel stop in Tennessee? That's what we need more of. Human excellence. Making the road feel a bit more like home.
I agree, Buck. Fred Randell over at Coca-Cola Canada just won Dispatcher of the Year. He spent 28 years behind the wheel before taking the desk. That's how you lead, with empathy and credibility.
Actually, that's the logistics Bible in action. You respect the person behind the GPS dot, and the data will follow.
That's all for today's High Road. We covered the fragile stabilization of logistics costs, the massive front-loading at our ports, and the potential peace dividend in the energy markets. Here's the play. Keep your margins tight and your headlights clean.
See you later.
Stay safe.
Peace.
Don't forget to check the reflectors. Dan out.